Welcome, tribe, to the Eden Army podcast. I'm your host tonight, Pete Robertucci. As you know, we do this podcast every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to keep Russ off of my back and like, share, subscribe, all that happy stuff so he doesn't yell at me and say that I forgot to do it again, because that's what typically happens. So like, subscribe, share, all that happy stuff. Let's start off by thanking Meta and Dan for your resubscription. Also, Opie Outdoors, thank you for the new subscription. We appreciate that. It makes this whole thing worthwhile. As voted on a couple weeks ago, we're going to be broadcasting half of the show on all the platforms and then close off those communist platforms, those communist feeds, right? And finish off on kick.com, where we're going to be talking about news, current events. We're going to talk about Joe Biden's work husband. What did he do? $9 billion in Doge cuts? Still no Epstein file? And Mandami goes to D.C. to smooze with the rest of the socialists. So we're going to see how that goes. But first, I'm honored to have Rich Gilbreth on, founder of SHTFandGO.com, somebody I met at the Minnesota Prepper Expo, and given my fondness for clean water solutions, I thought he would be a good fit for our tribe, right? Also, I didn't advertise this on the promo because I was going to see how many hardcore people we're going to have on tonight. I didn't want all the slackers to come in because they knew we were giving away something tonight. So same rules apply, right? We'll give you a little hashtag something, 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 something. You put it in and you will be put in for the drawing. But we're not going to tell you what it is yet because we're going to find out more about Rich and SHTFandGO solutions or SHTFandGO.com, where I am particularly interested in his water purification solutions. But we're going to do that right after this video, guys. Well, there you go. That's SHTFandGO.com. Let's bring in Rich Gilbreth, the owner-operator.
Hello, everyone.
I love my little soundboard, Rich. I can't help it. I paid the money for it. I got to use it. Thanks for being here tonight, brother.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, it was nice meeting you up at Minnesota Expo. So
yeah, it took every fiber of my being to leave Wisconsin and go to Minnesota, where I'm not too fond of their governor, but it was a great expo. So I did enjoy that. And the great thing about these expos isn't so much how much you sell. It's the contacts that you make, right? And then it's just the people that, like, I had no idea that I had readers from the North Woods of Minnesota. It was, I told a story a couple of weeks ago or last week. This guy comes up to me with his wife, very nice couple, all tatted up, spider web tattoos on his elbow, and I go, "Hi, my name's Pete Robertucci. I wrote these books." And he looks at me and he goes, "I know who you are." And I was like, so I was like, but so he had read my books. His wife had listened to him, so that was a neat experience, right? We really liked that.
No, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I met a lot of fun people. And, I mean, other than the heat, it was fine, so, but.
Yeah, it was hot. And I'm not just saying that because, look, I'm a Florida boy. And even I was like this. And you guys were in the corner over there. So I can only imagine how you were just blistering inside of that metal building. Nice setup, though. I mean, I really enjoyed the expo. But Rich, you had a few items that really piqued my interest because I'm into affordable solutions for the people, for my viewers. And look, everybody, like I had mentioned in the pre-show, everybody wants the Gucci items, right? Everybody wants the high dollar. I'm the guy that would rather have two of the things that work.
Right.
Yeah. And that's one thing that you would really, I was immediately drawn to you.
Yeah.
With that.
Well, I guess, I mean, maybe I can just share how we even got into this 15 years ago. We've been producing these products for literally 15 and a half years. I just looked it up before your show. I couldn't remember when we started, but the main reason I got into this was I'm an outdoorsman. I mean, I literally hunt, live outdoors, hunt, fish year round. And we always did with our kids a family camping trip up to the Buckhorn State Park here in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Maybe you've been there. And it was like a 5-mile hike in to this campsite. So it's very remote. And every year for like 5 years, I'm hauling, 100 pounds of water into this place. So my kids and my family can have water for the week. And I'm like, we're right on the Wisconsin River. Why can't I drink that? So I'm a mechanical engineer. I've been, I've designed a lot of things over my lifetime and worked for other companies and train and, HVAC equipment and all that stuff. So I have a pretty good working knowledge of how things work. And I developed this small little do-it-yourself water filter kit that you use 5-gallon buckets. And then everybody copied me, of course. This was a long time ago. But so I made this filter system that we could filter the water there at the Wisconsin River and drink it. And I stopped carrying 100 pounds of water into our camp.
Now, so, were you into preparing this before that, or is this just something out of necessity?
Well, I've always been, I look at it this way. I mean, we've always, stored food and water and tried to be ready for an emergency if such happened. Not something of the end of the world at that point, but, we always did that, whole house generators and solar when that came available and all this stuff. So, but, that's how we got started into this. And it literally turned into a job. Here I was selling my HVAC company to my employee. And now this is what I do full time for the last 15 years. But we have patents on some of our equipment, so China can't rip us off. We have to fight them all the time.
Well, yeah, they've been stealing patents for a long time.
Oh, tell me about it.
And this is what the administration's been fighting against, right? And with these tariffs, stop taking our intellectual properties.
We have wasted, thousands of hours fighting this. But luckily, we prevail, and they have to be removed, and the fakes get destroyed and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's how we got into this. So we make water filtration systems that can filter basically any fresh water source on the planet. Then we also make 2 water distilling systems that can literally take any water on the planet. You can take ocean water, salt water, water from anywhere. You can take poop water if you wanted to. And
you have that one system. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but it's going to be perfect for our tribe. You know, we call our little community a tribe, right? And it's going to be perfect because I think it's an affordable solution, first of all, and I think that it's one that is 99.9% going to take away all those pathogens and all those things that's going to make you have a bad night in the woods. And it's so lightweight, right? That little portable distill is so lightweight. You can throw it in the back of your truck and make it happen. I sent Melissa out to a class at Mountain Readiness. We had talked about Mountain Readiness and a distilling class. And of course, we got the big pots and all that stuff. And she came out of that with the knowledge to probably blow the house up, not so much to make the water safe. But had I known about your solution, I would tell you that this is the way to go 100%. We'll highlight that here in a little bit. Sure. To talk about your company a little bit. Now, I know that they've been involved in doing some humanitarian help in the past, and maybe right now. I believe both domestically and internationally. What motivates you to do that much humanitarian aid? And also, I mean, are you driven by faith or is it just something else?
Well, I by faith, I'm not an outwardly, I believe faith is something that's personal, but for me, something that, and I found this after we started, but John 3:37 is, when you're thirsty, come to me and I will give you a drink. And it kind of resonated with me over the years. And it's something that it's actually on our website. But it's when we launched this company, we started getting contacted by missionary groups going to Haiti, going overseas. When Puerto Rico had their hurricane, we had 50,000 kits go to Puerto Rico because they had listeria breakout because all the wellheads got flooded. And right. Listeria it may not kill you. If you have a weak immune system, it will, but it can definitely ruin your day if you're healthy. But, 1.4 million people a year die from water contamination in third world countries. So it's a big deal. And, it's something that, we don't have to address here in the United States so much because many people just, live municipal water systems or buy bottled water, which, then you're dealing with a whole host of other issues of microplastics and whatnot. But, there's a lot of things that, people don't realize. There's not a water source on the planet that does not have some level of contamination. It doesn't matter where it is. Can you drink water out of a spring in the mountains? Of course you can. Will you get sick? Maybe not, but there is a possibility that there's a dead animal upstream.
Right.
I'm not taking that risk. I don't want to live the life of the old Oregon Trail games. Died of dysentery.
Yep. Once you get to that point, there's not enough water you can drink to recoup that, right?
Yeah, you literally can. Now, I have drank water all over the planet. I've been to South America, Costa Rica, up in the volcanoes. I drink water all over the place using our systems. And knock on some kind of wood somewhere, I've never, ever had an issue using our systems. But that's because they are designed for pathogens.
Right.
That's the main purpose of most of our systems. They do remove a lot of other, nasties in the water, lead and heavy elements and stuff like that. But that's not the main purpose. It's like, I want to be able to, we have a water filter system sitting right behind me somewhere. I forgot which way to point. I have our Browns Lake. I live on Browns Lake here in Wisconsin, and we purposely drink the lake water.
Sure. Sure.
So, that's just one of our things. We just do it because it's fun, and people come over and it's like, I can't believe you're drinking that,
Well, and that's and that's one of the aspects of preparedness that I stress on my tribe so much, right? water food security, right? And and water being probably on the top of the list, because look, you're only going to go so many hours without clean water, right? So what are some of the aspects of water preparedness or water storage that you see in the preparedness community that people are lacking, like there's maybe just not thinking of? Do you run across any of that?
Yeah, let me back up. I mean, there's an old prepper saying, I don't know who coined this term, but you can live 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food for most of us. I could probably go a little bit longer.
You and me both.
But those are the main concerns. Obviously, shelter if you live in Wisconsin here in the winters.
Sure.
So yeah, water is a huge concern, especially if we, had some kind of national disaster, some kind of emergency, end of the world type of situation for us. I mean, as a first world country, we go to bed on feather pillows and
right.
don't have to worry about crazy stuff. But obviously that can change, depending on world situations. So having some source of water, just storing water is one of the best things you can do. You can get cheap plastic 55-gallon drums, put the water in there. People do add bleach to them every year. I don't, because I can always treat any water source when I'm ready for it.
Right.
Okay. So, but yeah, the general rule is if you have, 8%, hypochlorite bleach, which is like a stronger bleach, usually it comes in 6 or 8. It's either 6 or 8 drops per gallon, and you can sterilize that water. Let it sit for half an hour, and that water will be safe enough to drink without pathogens in it.
Sure. So what about area assessments and resourcing water? Like where are some of the spots that most people don't think that, look, when stuff goes down, maybe your pump is out, you don't have a well on property, or you don't have a pond, you're not next to a lake. Where are some of the places, maybe even in our own house, where we can find, I don't know, 50, 60 gallons of water?
Well, good. Thank you for asking. The water heater.
Sure.
So the water heater has a drain on it, and you have, typically 40 to 60 gallons of water at all times there. Another good tip is that if there is some kind of power outage or whatever, and you're on municipal water, fill up your bathtub. That's a great option. Fill the bathtub up, and then you have a source of water that you can at least flush toilets and, drink and all that stuff. So it's a very simple thing to do. If you don't have, say you live in an apartment, that's about what you're going to be able to do, or a condo, if you don't have the place to store water. For us locally in Wisconsin,
there's water everywhere.
Yeah. We always joke that, Minnesota has the land of 10,000 lakes. Well, we have 15,000. So,
right. Those Minnesota people, I can't do it.
We just don't brag about it.
Rich, I should mention before we go on too much further is I see some people up here scanning this code. Guys, when you scan this, make sure if you buy something from that website up there, you type in lowercase Eden, and you're going to get 20% off some of the items that are scrolling on the bottom of your screen. And that was a gift from Rich to you guys. So we appreciate that, brother. So some of the most overlooked aspect of water preparedness and storage. Tell me, so what do you see? Where are the mistakes being made as far as water containment and stuff like that? Do you see much of that when you're talking to people? Do they, kind of pick your brain about it? Do you see any errors?
Well, usually it's from people that just don't ever think about it. I mean, if somebody is actually, what we call a prepper, has some kind of acknowledgement that I need to have some kind of backup systems for things. The whole adage of, 1 is none and 2 is 1 type of thing.
Sure.
So when you're storing, just to be prepared, just have some water. You can take just water jugs, have them set aside in your basement if you had one, or garage or whatever. And, just to have something as a backup is the main concern.
So what I do, what we do down in Florida, because we get hit by hurricanes quite a lot. And look, storing water takes up a lot of space, is what people don't realize. But I go to we'll say the sporting goods store and buy the 5-gallon jugs and just set them aside. Look, I know a hurricane is coming a couple days ahead of time. I can fill all of those jugs up and I don't have to store it year round. I mean, if I didn't have a huge pond on my property, of course, I would store year round. What about storing it year round? So you're saying that if guys out there, if you've read my Water is Life manual, you would know exactly how many drops of chlorine to put in per gallon of water. But if you store it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, if you store it in an environment that's not out in the sun and in a proper container, water is going to last you a very, very long time.
Yeah. Well, we're drinking water that is ancient, I mean,
right.
So, so it doesn't go bad. You can always process it. I mean, minimally, you can boil water to kill the pathogens. Okay.
Sure.
So, you'll hear sometimes after a storm or a hurricane or something, a pipe is broken, or earthquake, a pipe is broken in the municipal system, and they put out a boil warning. So that is what that's relating to. Is boil your water before you drink it or use it in food, because it could pick up contaminants in a broken pipe.
Sure, absolutely, right? Yep. Yeah. Because once it loses pressure, right, then the contaminants leak in.
Exactly. So another thing you could do is obviously the bleach. 6 drops of bleach, let it stand for half an hour, and that'll be perfectly safe to drink. Many people don't like drinking chlorinated water, obviously. If you let that stand for a couple hours, the chlorine will dissipate. It dissipates naturally. So that's one thing you can do. You can run it through one of our filter systems, and that removes the chlorine. So That's another option. If you have a reverse osmosis, which a lot of people seem to be wanting to buy to, remove microplastics and different toxins and stuff, those are great, but they waste 80% of the water flow, and you have to have pressure. So if your municipal system has gone down and that big water tower that's sitting down the road is running empty, guess what? You have no water. If you lose electricity on your well, you lose water. These are things that people need to consider when they're thinking about water safety. So
sure. And even the municipal water system, I know there's a big to-do down in Florida about fluoride and stuff like that. And look, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, although I mean I write books about it. But the fluoride and it's possible cause to ADD and stuff like that. So anyway, the ladies and the guys and the parents down in Florida are losing their mind about fluoride. Do you have a filter that actually gets rid of fluoride even in municipal water systems?
Yeah, we do. Well, the distillation systems, both of our distillers remove fluoride, and then our Gravistill, which is a unique product, that's the product that we have the most patents on. It can be operated as a water distilling system where you boil it and then recondense into, the vapor into water, or drinkable water. It can also operate as a gravity water filter system. So you can put water in the top, just let gravity do its work, and it comes out the bottom clean. Well, that goes through a fluoride filter, and it removes 90+% of fluoride that's in the water. I like just water. I've been drinking distilled water now for close to 18 years. I had an electric water distiller before we even started this company. But I like just my water to be water. I don't want anything else in it. I just want water.
Sure. And some people worry that they're losing the minerals in the distilling process, which you do. You do lose some of the minerals, but that's made up by your diet, guys. Yeah. So look, give me good old fashioned water. Give me good old fashioned water.
I actually conducted a study of one myself. This was like 12, 13 years ago, because we had a lot of customers that was like, well, you lose all your minerals, you lose this, and also. So I went to my family doctor, who I've known forever. He's actually my daughter's he's a major in the Army. He's like a part-time doctor. So right now he's overseas, but he's been a family friend of ours forever. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this test on myself. I'm going to drink nothing. I gave up alcohol, stopped drinking whiskey, stopped drinking everything.
How dare you? What's wrong with you?
I know, it was horrible. So for 90 days straight, I went in and had a blood test done, and I wanted a full CBC panel, all minerals, everything. And 90 days later, I went back in and paid for the test to have it done again. Zero change. All your minerals come from your diet. There are minerals, obviously, that come from, water and stuff like that you drink. But here's the deal. I used to suffer from kidney stones. After I started drinking distilled water, it went away. I haven't had a kidney stone in 15 years.
There you go. So that's some home remedy stuff right there, folks, right?
So you're asking me if I'm a believer. I am, but once again, a sample of one doesn't mean, it's the answer for everybody.
Sure,
but,
sure. Now you have two type of systems that I really like. You have a gravity system, like we're used to seeing the big stainless steel ones. The company's name starts with a B and it costs $1 gazillion. A regular gravity system, which means the water stays on the top, the dirty water stays on the top, and then falls through the filters into the clean reservoir down bottom, right?
Yeah.
Now you also, which I found interesting, you have now, if I'm remembering right, you have a pressure system that kind of forces that water down through those filters, so it happens quicker.
Yes. Okay. So that B company you mentioned, that pretty much doesn't exist anymore. Yes. So, everybody refers to these type of filters as gravity filters. Okay. Gravity at 14 pounds of air pressure pushes the water through the filter. And that rate will never be any more than a half a gallon of water per hour. Okay. Doesn't matter how many filters you put in it. If you buy one, a Crown B model that has 6 filters and cost you $800, it's going to make a half a gallon of water per hour to clear out that container. Okay. But just the way gravity works, it's a constant. Drop a pen, it falls at the same rate.
Right.
Okay. So with our system, they can be pressurized by air. Actually, I have a sample behind here. I'll move this out of the way. So that blue and white one that's sitting right there.
Yep.
It actually has an airtight containing lid. Okay. And the model also has a UV sterilizer in it, but that's a different function. But it can be pressurized. Our stainless steel models from our Gravistill, that can also be pressurized. So they can make upwards of 6 gallons of water an hour. And the only reason we've developed this is when you have an emergency, a half a gallon of water per hour may not be enough. Sure. You may need to make more water. Good point. This thing will clear out that container in a matter of 15, 20 minutes, and you have 3.5 gallons of water ready to go.
Yeah, so that's the way to go, especially if it's a true emergency event where you're probably cutting trees down, you're fixing your roof, you're doing this, you're sweating a lot. Look, I don't have time to wait hours for a half a gallon of water. Daddy needs to drink, and I probably ran out of bourbon by then, so I got real problems.
Yeah, and you probably have a family, and they need to drink too.
Sure, exactly. So I thought that particular product was an interesting addition to your lineup. So and one that I really never thought of. So kudos to you for bringing that to market. I certainly appreciate that.
Yeah, we've only been making them for 12 years, but the thing is, we don't do a lot of heavy marketing like a lot of companies. People don't realize. Okay, we'll use that B company as an example. More than 70% of the cost of the unit you're buying is directly related to their marketing costs.
Sure.
So for us, we rely on word of mouth. We do have distributors that sell our products, and they do a decent job. So that's how we decide to do it. I don't need to sell 1 million of these things a second for us to be happy. My wife is happy when I'm hunting 70 days a year. we live a pretty simple life, but that's how we've decided to move along with the company. Is we don't promise things to people that our systems don't do, and that's what got some of these other companies in trouble.
Yeah, and somehow with that low budget or low advertising cost that you have, you're able to keep the cost down, which is, look, my wife says I'm cheap. I'm not cheap. I'm frugal. All right. Like I said, I'd rather have 2 of something than one Gucci model. Anything could be a rifle, could be whatever it happens to be. Give me 2 of them instead of the high dollar one.
Well, I do have an expensive shotgun.
Well, with 70 days. Yeah, I imagine you do. You and Russ in the background there with your shotguns. I wouldn't even know how to operate a shotgun.
Go Beretta.
Yeah. So when I saw you in Minnesota, I was really enamored by some of your products, and I said, "Look, man, I got to have you on the podcast." You were like, "You're a little timid there." You were like, "I've done podcasts before, but we really don't advertise. It's word of mouth." And I go, "No, get on here." And so I don't know if you gave me a card or I just stole one. But I was surprised that you actually answered my call and email when I got a hold of you. So I certainly appreciate that.
I'm so ugly. I don't like to be seen in public. So
like Russ says, we got ugly covered. You're I mean, you bring. It's like the. Well, I'm not going to say that. That's just mean. I'm not going to say that. It was about the prom and the fat cute girl. Exactly. Yes, Terry, that is who we're talking about, as well as Kelly. That is the B name company that hardly ever exists. So, guys, I did not mention, we got a whole bunch of people over there in Kick, and I probably should recognize some of y'all. The Lala is in the house over there in chat. Jason's in the house. Guy, the normal band of radical misfits are in the house over there. So we certainly appreciate you guys. Guys, if you have any questions for Mr. Rich, #Rich, and put them up. We'll try to get them answered for you. Here's one from Patrick 70. It says he has 7 of those big blue plastic 5-gallon office water jugs. And how long? Basically, it's in a dark spot. It's in his apartment, air conditioned, I assume. How long will they last unopened? Just a ballpark.
Forever.
Yeah.
You can always treat that water when you're ready. So emergency happens, you go grab one of those jugs, and say it got into the sunlight and it's growing a little bit of algae, just flavoring, add a little bit of, bleach to it, the 6 drops, 8 drops per gallon, let it sit for half an hour, and that water is perfectly safe to drink. Yeah.
And guys, remember, if you don't have chlorine, we talked about these little devices here. Rich, I don't know if you've ever seen this. This is a device where you basically add your dirty water to a salt, and it makes chlorine for you. So look, you don't have to store jugs and jugs of chlorine. You can use a device like that. You can make your chlorine. You should be prepping salt anyway, guys. That's one thing you really need.
Electrolysis. You're making chlorine dioxide, which Aquamira, I'll give them a little boost. Mm-hmm. Aquamira makes a chlorine dioxide compound where it's in a part A and part B. You put those 2 together and it makes chlorine. So there's other things. I mean, we've looked at getting into that type of products, and it's like those guys make a great product. You know? Let them do it.
I think you guys got your niche, and I think your price points on point. I think stick with it. I think you guys are doing a pretty darn good job.
Well, thank you.
So let's see. Russ is blowing up my private chat in here. Guys, don't forget. Oh, I didn't mention this. I'm sorry. I did say we were going to have a giveaway, right? So in chat, if you type in #SHTF right there, just like that, in chat on Kick, then you will automatically be put in for a free system just like that. Gravity water filter system. Lightweight, ready to go. It's an emergency system, and you're going to be good to go. So we're going to give one of those. Well, I'm not giving it away. Rich is giving it away. So put in #SHTF SHTF, and you will automatically be enrolled in that drawing. And we're going to do it the same way we did it last time. If you're a subscriber to Kick, you get double the entries. If you're not and you're on Kick, you still get an entry. So we're not, let's see if anyone's put that in. No one's put it up yet. Hashtag SHTF. So I have to hit accept first, or do I have to wait? Just wait, right?
Oh, I
Till
see a
it
bunch of
hit
them.
accept. He's waving back there. Let me accept this. Hold on.
Yeah, I see a bunch of those on the chat there.
Oh, so okay, so they're not going in yet. So I'm doing something wrong here. Oh, I know why. Because I'm an idiot. That's why. Let's do it this way. Bear with me, guys. I got this figured out. I gotta hit accept, is what the man says. Oh yeah, they're popping up. They're highlighting. There they go. Good. So there you go. We're good to go. Keep on punching them in. One entry per person, per platform. Not per platform. If you're on YouTube, yep, it's probably not going to work for you. I know that Kick is going to work for you though. So cool. Let's let that soak for a little bit. Hashtag SHTF, and you will get put in for the drawing. There you go. Joe, you don't need if you drank water right now, Joe LaFon, if you drank water right now, Lala, your liver would go into failure. It wouldn't know how to process that. So don't act like you need clean water. The best thing for you is probably the dirtiest ass water you could find to clean out your system. Dan the man's in the house. Eden Army #1. Pete, you have to go in and unselect everybody except for me. We're not going to do that. Cool. Okay, let's get to the item that I love the most from you. And this is the non-electric distiller. Show us this thing and talk a little bit about this guy. I love this thing.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on full screen. That way they get
all right. Well,
a full Monty.
Let's just talk about what is distillation or distiller. A distiller is you're going to take liquid water, heat it up, boil it into steam. That steam then is going to evaporate and then recondense into liquid water, and then that's pure water. You're leaving all the contaminants behind. So what this device is, now this is one here I have at the house. I actually didn't grab one at the shop, but this is one that we use here at the shop or at the house. This has a universal lid. So you can set it on any kind of pot. So I'm just going to take my pot from home. You can see it's really dirty. And we set that on the pot. Now this pot's going to be full of water. We're going to boil this water, and we're going to take another one of our pots, fill this with cool water, and set it down on top of this gasket.
So the dirty water is going to be on the bottom, guys. It's going to heat up and evaporate. Yep, it's going to hit that cold container up top. It's going to condense that vapor, and then what happens? And
then it rains inside this, okay? So it's going to drip the water down inside here, and it's going to run out of this discharge tube. Now, this will make about a half a gallon per hour. We do have a lot of people that ask, like, well, why can't you make it faster? Why is it so slow? Well, have you ever boiled water on your pot? Go ahead, try this tonight. Put 2 gallons of water in a pot, turn the burner on high, and see how long it takes for that water to boil away. Water has an incredible heat index. So that's why we use it to cool car engines and heat buildings and all that stuff. Okay. Boilers and steam and everything. So it takes a long time. It takes a lot of energy to boil water away. So that's what's going to happen in here is that steam is going to come up from the bottom of the pot. It's going to exit through this hole, come in contact with the top pot that has the cool water in it. It's going to condense again, just like a cold Pepsi can on a hot summer day. It's going to sweat. Okay. It's going to be sweating in here and dripping that water in here, and you're going to get pure water out. What the beauty behind distillation is that now we can remove salt from ocean water. We can remove radiation from any water. We can remove anything, literally anything. When we take water, and I've taken, we actually have a video on our website about this. I took water and I added like 2 pounds of salt, which is way saltier than the ocean.
Yeah, so I thought when I looked at your dissolved solids, I watched the video. You were at like 7,400 dissolved TDS, right?
It's like
and then
completely undrinkable.
Completely, and then you ran it through that, and you came down to 5 parts per million.
Yeah,
so you went from 7,500 to 5 parts per million.
Yeah, which, think about that. Municipal water is going to be 300 to 500 parts per million.
Right.
So we are literally getting this down to as zero as you can possibly get.
Sure.
Reverse osmosis, which is one of the highest quality filtration systems on the market, is 80 parts per million. This gets it to 5. So it is the purest water you can possibly ever drink.
I love it. That was the one that really caught my eyes, guys, because again, the price point is right on it, especially if you go to the website and look. He might have a scratch and dent there, which I'm all about the scratch and dent stuff. I mean, I'm scratched and dent myself, so I'll look. Now's the time to get these things, and look how small that was. As long as you have 2 pots, it's a done deal.
And it has a coupler here, so you can take that off for the discharge tube, and that's the entire unit.
You could almost put that. You could put that in your go bag.
Yeah, it weighs 2.5 pounds.
Now that's the non-electric version, right, Rich? Now that means, look, like we said before, boiling water takes a lot of energy, but you can use wood. You can use wood pellets. You could use one of your rocket stoves to boil that water and make it happen, right? So there's many things you can do off grid to make all that happen.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons we actually got into making rocket stoves over 10 years ago. You can buy a million Chinese rocket stoves on Amazon right now. When we started making our stoves, there were like 3 rocket stove manufacturers. Ours is a little different in the fact, here, I'll turn that so you can see it right there in the corner. That is our 50 BMG rocket stove.
Now, why do you call it the 50 BMG rocket stove?
Because I love guns. And the main reason is that our company for we made a separate entity for the rocket stove company. So our stove company is called Bulletproof Rocket Stoves. And yes, there is a video out there somewhere in La La Land where we shot our stove with a 308 and we cooked hamburgers. It's a heavy duty stove. Okay. It's not inexpensive. It's not a $30 Chinese stove made out of Sapiro beer cans.
Right.
But this is a stove that will last a lifetime. It has a 10 gauge stainless steel burner in it. If you ever burn through this, we will give you a new one. It's a lifetime warranty on the burner because you cannot destroy this stove. The stove puts out 40,000 BTUs at the burner. So we need, as we mentioned, water takes a lot of heat to boil. Okay. Well, we need a lot of heat. You can't do that on these cheap Chinese stoves. They put out 8,000, 10,000 BTUs. You can cook an egg on a Chinese rocket stove. You can't boil water decently or for a very long period of time on a Chinese rocket stove. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
They're this tall. This thing stands 24 inches tall.
Sure.
So
it's a good unit, guys. I went to his booth and I first of all I tried to lift the thing up and I'm like, well, first I'm not doing that. It's too hot in here. But it was
it's not super heavy. It's
not super heavy.
24 pounds.
But it's substantial, is what I mean. Like I have a Chinese one, Rich, and I could throw that thing around like it's a.
Yeah, we have a handle here on the front, so you can pick it up and carry it around. We also have a door, and there's an ashtray here. Okay, so you can empty the ash and everything. But one of the beauties of our stove, if I can, here, I'll turn this so you can see me here. One of the beauties of the stove is that here's our burner, so we can cook on it. I can take that off and hook up vent pipe in an emergency, and I can use this stove to heat my house.
Sure.
In an emergency, this stove turns into an emergency rocket stove, rocket heater.
So we like things, right? We like things that have dual purpose.
Exactly.
In the preparedness and the preparedness world, we like those kind of things because then we don't need to I don't get yelled at from my wife for cluttering up the garage because I have two of friggin' everything. So we like dual purpose stuff, right? So
yeah, I like to make things that serve more than one purpose.
Sure. And this is what I like about this company because these things have been thought out, which is kind of cool, right? I kind of dig that because I like to think outside the box. Kelly has a question here. Let me pump this up real quick. And I'm assuming, so how's the water taste? Hopefully not tattle-like distilled or boiled. Well, I'm sure it's probably going to taste like distilled water because it's distilled water.
Yeah. I can address that, Kelly.
Sure.
Distilled water is, it has a distilled water taste. Now, if you bought distilled water in a plastic jug, you're tasting the plastic,
Right.
But water, taste is subjective. So here's a good example. I like the taste of just regular distilled water. My wife does not. So what she takes is that little pink salt. What is that? Like Himalayan
salt, yeah.
Whatever it is. Okay, that has calcium, magnesium, and potassium in it. Okay, I think it's potassium. Might be phosphorus. A little bit of something. I know it has calcium and magnesium. I'll have to get back on the other one. But anyway, so put a little pinch of that in it, and then that brings that taste back. So once you have pure water, you can make it taste like anything. I like my gin martinis dirty, pickle juice.
Right.
So some people just like them straight up. So that's something that you can actually alter the taste of water once you have pure water. So there are a lot of things that people do. Some people just put a little. They actually have these mineral stones that remineralize water. I know some of our customers have purchased those and they use them in it. For me, I've acquired the taste of distilled water. So taste is a subjective thing, and everybody has a different one. So when you're filtering water, though, it's pretty much not going to change the calcium level if that's what you're tasting. A lot of people have high calcium levels in water, and they might enjoy that. That's what they think pure water tastes like.
Yeah, and he goes on to say, just add the minerals back to get that taste you're used
and Himalayan
to, right?
Salt stuff, a lot of people use. A lot of our customers use that. So.
And he also goes on to say, well, bourbon's distilled, so that's a
vodka. Vodka is tasteless. The best vodka in the world actually tastes like nothing.
Right, exactly. That's the scary vodka. I don't mess with that stuff. I don't like the clear stuff. Very cool. Guys, Rich, what do you want to do this drawing?
Yeah, we can go ahead and do it. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let's see what happens here. Let me see if I can get it working for us. All right, there's that one. I'm going to move this screen, Russ, over in front of me here. All right, guys, it only looks like we have 17 participants. Is that it? Nobody else wants this thing. Out of all the viewers, 17 participants. Hashtag STHF right now to get SHTF. Is that what I said? No.
You said STHF.
All right, so look, only 17 participants. So, all right, we're going to roll it. There we go, Russ. Russ, are you ready? Russ says yes in the background. Here we go. Joe LaFond, you got to be shitting me. The law. So here, I forgot to tell you, Joe, you have to be here. You have to type something inside of the chat right now within 50 seconds. So type something, or we're going to have to re-roll this. Joe, type something. Joe's probably passed out by now. 33 seconds. Julie, you might have made the if Joe doesn't type something, you might get another shot at this.
Yeah, Julia, SHTF. I don't know if that matters, but
yeah, that's gonna matter. Joe, he typed something. He did it. So congratulations, Joseph LaFon. You won. As if you need something to clean out water, you won that. Joe, make sure you get with Russ. Give him your address, and Rich is going to be nice enough to send that to you. We certainly appreciate that, my brother.
You're very welcome.
So very cool. All right, let me get out of this. Doing all kinds of stuff here. All right, guys. So now it's a time. It's part of the broadcast now where, unfortunately, we have to go to an intermission where we're going to dump the communist social media platforms and we're going to broadcast primarily on kick.com because that's how we cut loose, right? That's how we won't get banned. That's how all that stuff. And we'll talk about the news and stuff like that. Rich might be here on the flip side. We haven't decided yet. If he shows up, he shows up. But Rich, if we don't see you on the flip side, we appreciate you, brother. And thanks for being on the Eden Army podcast.
I think I'm going to join my mother-in-law's.
That's a good idea. I didn't tell him that story. I should have told him that story.
Side.
Yeah, I'm not. I'll keep that story between us, your mother-in-law's thing. But Rich, we appreciate you. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that one's good. Let's go to intermission, guys. Thank you.